Okay, welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're diving deep into something that is, well, happening inside your head right now.
Absolutely. It's
Yep.
incredibly fundamental, shapes every single moment.
And not just your moments. This has shaped the experience of, well, every human ever.
It really has. We're talking about the engine room of your reality, perception, memory, and how you build meaning from all that input.
We've got a whole stack of sources for this deep dive, looking at it from the human side, obviously, but also AI.
Yeah, the parallels are fascinating, and the differences are just as important, maybe more so.
So, our mission today, unpack this whole interplay, see how huge its impact is on everything from jokes to global supply chains. Seriously.
And see where AI fits in, or perhaps doesn't fit in, trying to help you get the key insights from this material fast.
Because once you start looking for this loop,
Perception, memory, meaning,
you really do see it everywhere.
everywhere.
Okay, let's start at the start. Perception.
Right. Perception is, think of it as the first gate, your initial way in.
Eyes grabbing light, ears picking up sound.
Skin feeling pressure, temperature, all that sensory stuff. Your body takes that physical input.
And translates it into electrical signals the brain can actually use.
Exactly. It's the raw data feed.
Hmm.
Without that initial transduction, there's nothing to process, no input, no understanding down the line.
Okay, so the brain gets this raw data feed. Then what? Memory kicks in.
Yep, memory is where the brain starts encoding this information, laying down neural pathways.
And we have different kinds, right? Short term, long term.
And that's right. Short term, like holding a phone number in your head for a second. Long term is, well, everything else. Facts, skills, your life story.
But here's the thing that jumped out from the sources. Human memory isn't like a perfect recording.
Oh, not even close.
Yeah.
It's not a static file cabinet.
It gets rebuilt every time you access it.
Pretty much. Your current mood, new things you've learned since, even just why you're remembering it, it all influences the memory you pull up. It's dynamic.
Which sounds messy, but it's actually crucial.
It's essential. It lets us learn, integrate new stuff, spot patterns, predict what might happen next. It gives us that feeling of continuity, you know?
As if every second would feel completely new. Chaos.
Total chaos. Imagine that.
Okay, so perceive the data, encode, and reconstruct via memory.
Yeah.
And then the really subjective part, meaning making.
This is the active bit, where your brain takes all that perceived and remembered stuff and basically asks, okay, what does this mean?
And the answer depends entirely on, well, you.
Exactly. Your history, your culture, how you're feeling right now, your genetics even. It all feeds into how you interpret things.
Which explains why reality feels so personal, so subjective. Like the example in the sources. Same sunset, one person sees profound beauty, another just sees the sun going down.
That subjective layer drives everything. Beliefs, actions, reactions. It is your experienced reality.
Now, shifting gears slightly, the AI comparison is really interesting here.
It is. You can definitely see analogies.
So for AI, perception is its sensors, cameras, microphones.
Right. LiDAR, whatever inputs it has, taking in pixels, audio waves, point clouds. That's its raw data. Still the initial gateway.
And AI memory, how does that compare?
It's different, for sure. It can be literal data storage like a database, perfect recall of specific facts.
But in newer AI, it's more complex.
And things like neural networks, yeah. Memory is more distributed. It's in the weights, the strength of connections between artificial neurons adjusted during training. It's more about learned patterns and associations.
So functionally, it allows AI to learn, recognize, predict similar outcomes to human memory.
Similar outcomes, yes, but through fundamentally different mechanisms. Data management, computation, pattern matching.
And AI's version of meaning making, is it just algorithms?
Essentially, yes. Pattern recognition, semantic analysis, inference engines. These algorithms let the AI go beyond the raw data, find relationships, build internal models.
Like the image recognition example, it learns pixel patterns mean cat.
Exactly. It's derived a classification, a relationship from data. It's not feeling catness, but it's made a connection, identified a pattern that we label meaning.
And it can do this on a scale humans just can't handle, finding patterns in massive data sets.
Absolutely. That's a key strength.
Okay, so we've got this core loop, human and AI versions. How does this play out? Where does it impact us?
Oh, everywhere. Just think about our sense of time.
Built on remembering sequences, perceiving change.
Precisely. And history. It's our collective memory, but the meaning we give that history is constantly being debated, reinterpreted.
And our biology sets the stage. Genetics influence our senses, our brain structure.
Like color blindness or synesthesia, different perceptual worlds. AI has its architecture too, its code, It's hardware defining its processing limits.
And our mental state.
Hmm.
Wow, emotions literally change what we notice and how we remember it.
Trauma is a powerful example. How it can reshape memory. Happiness can make things seem brighter, literally. Belief systems are these huge frameworks of meaning built over time.
AI doesn't feel emotions, but you can program priorities, right? Goals that act a bit like beliefs, guiding its actions.
In a way, yes. Its objective function, the data it's trained on that shapes its behavior and outputs, acting like a guiding principle.
It even underpins huge fields. Philosophy questions about reality, knowledge are all about perception and meaning.
And AI makes us ask new questions about what knowing even means.
Logic, too. It's a system for consistent meaning, right? Based on perceived truths, remembered rules.
AI is great at executing logic. But the starting points, the premises, often come from us, from human data.
Communication is a massive one. Language only works if we agree on the meaning of sounds, symbols.
And misunderstandings are just mismatched perceptions or meanings. Relationships, built on shared memories, shared meaning, and empathy perceiving another state.
And societies hold together through shared stories, shared values, collective meaning.
Art, culture. It's all humans trying to express their internal perception, memory, meaning loop, trying to evoke something in your loop.
It's not abstract at all. The sources link it directly to human struggles. Misfortune often comes from misperceiving risk.
Or being trapped by traumatic memories that warp your present perception.
The supply chain example they used was really concrete.
Yeah, a great illustration. A supply chain is all about information, perceiving demand, inventory, remembering past trends, lead times.
Then a crisis hits a flood, a conflict.
And it throws everything off. Perception changes, roads are blocked, factories are damaged, memory fails, skilled people aren't available, historical data is suddenly irrelevant. Panic skews decision-making.
And you get shortages, like that simple calculation. If perceived production drops from P expected to P actual, and the system doesn't remember or adjust.
You're short by the difference, a real-world consequence of perception and memory failures in a complex system.
Which brings us to some heavier ethical points raised in the material. If meaning is constructed,
it can be manipulated. Propaganda, advertising, even just framing information. Control the perception, leverage the memory, and you influence the meaning.
And AI potentially supercharges that, doesn't it, with targeted information delivery?
That's a major concern. The potential impact on autonomy.
And bias. AI trained on our bias data.
Learns our biases. Can even amplify them, leading to unfairness in crucial areas, justice, hiring, healthcare. We have to be so critical.
Which leads to the responsibility question. If an AI causes harm based on its perception, who's responsible?
The programmer, the data provider, the user. It's a huge legal and ethical gray area right now.
The sources also touched on cruelty, linking it to a lack of empathy and inability to perceive or understand suffering in others.
A failure in that meaning-making process when it comes to other beings. And current AI, well, it lacks that kind of empathy, which raises red flags for its use in morally complex situations.
But it's not all negative. The material is clear. AI can also help. It's a tool.
A potentially powerful one for enhancing our own abilities.
Like improving human perception. Medical diagnostics came up.
Yes, AI analyzing scans, finding subtle patterns humans might miss, or detecting early signs of disease in speech or movement.
And augmenting memory. Personalized learning, smart reminders.
Even AR/VR overlaying information onto our view of the world, creating new kinds of perception almost.
AI could also help refine our meaning-making by spotting bias in data. Fact-checking.
Potentially, yes. Tools to help us evaluate information more critically. Cross-cultural communication aids, maybe interpreting nuances.
And addressing struggles. Back to the supply chain.
AI can optimize logistics, predict disruptions using real-time data.
Like that logical deduction example. If AI predicts disaster X, probability threshold Y.
Then initiate contingency plan Z. It uses its perception of risk and memory of solutions to mitigate harm proactively, turning a potential catastrophe into a manageable issue.
It could also support mental health, chatbots, tools for processing memories, reframing perspectives.
Personalized health insights, too, analyzing biometric data, habits, suggesting tailored approaches to wellness.
But the key caveat was important. AI shouldn't aim for constant happiness.
Right, that's not realistic or healthy. The goal should be empowerment, better information, better tools for us to navigate life.
Which requires ethical development, explainable AI, AI alignment, making sure these powerful tools serve human values.
Crucial work.
Yeah.
Because underlying all this application is that fundamental difference the sources highlight, the gap in understanding.
Human versus AI understanding. Let's dig into that.
Its core, human understanding, is embodied, subjective, experiential.
We feel music, we see beauty, we connect it all to our lived experience. It's tied to our biology, our evolution.
It's rich, emergent, deeply personal.
AI understanding.
Algorithmic.
Yeah.
Data-driven. Pattern-based.
Yeah.
It excels at finding structure, correlations, and data. It remembers by retrieving data or adjusting its internal parameters.
But it lacks the subjective conscious experience, the feeling.
Exactly. It processes information about emotions, it can simulate responses, but it doesn't feel joy or sadness. Its origin is external human programming, human data.
This distinction really helps with some of the specific questions in the material, like, why isn't a joke funny to everyone?
Perfect example of subjective meaning. Humor depends so much on shared context, culture, personal memories. Your perception plus memory plus interpretation. Funny or not.
An AI might predict if a joke will be funny based on data patterns, but it doesn't get it.
It doesn't share the human experience that makes it funny. Same for who is laughing, crying identity. Those are internal human states rooted in our PM&M loop.
AI can recognize the outward signs, maybe simulate them, but it's not feeling the emotion.
Or concentration. For us, it's focusing limited brain power for survival, learning. For AI, it's allocating compute resources towards a goal. Similar function, totally different basis.
What about AI helping with the logic that life is all there is?
AI can give us tons of data, scientific analysis, but life is all there is a philosophical stance, a meaning we construct. AI informs, it doesn't dictate ultimate meaning.
And cruelty. The sources stressed how complex that is.
Way beyond just perception memory. Distorted meaning, lack of empathy, psychology, social factors. AI can analyze behavioral patterns related to it, but it lacks the inner experience of empathy or moral reasoning.
Being born without these core capacities, perception, memory, meaning-making,
would mean being fundamentally unable to engage with reality as we know it. It highlights how essential this loop is.
and the diversity of human circumstances.
It's the result of all those individual variations in perception, memory, meaning, interacting with environment, genetics, society, luck. It creates both amazing culture and deep inequalities. AI might help analyze the patterns behind those inequalities.
Intuition is another interesting one. Human intuition feels like.
A rapid, unconscious pattern match based on deep embodied experience. A gut feeling.
AI intuition.
Looks similar sometimes, but it's complex computation on data. Pattern matching, yes, but without the consciousness, the embodiment. It connects to a system, not life.
AI's role in coping. Supportive. Data-driven insights, resources, pattern recognition, maybe virtual support.
Definitely. A tool to aid human coping.
And the physical difference is stark. Brains, biology, biochemistry for us.
Hardware, energy, algorithms on silicon for AI.
Does AI undermine freedom then? Big question.
Huge. The potential for manipulation through shaping perception memory is real. But so is the potential to enhance freedom with more information, more perspectives. It comes down to ethical use.
Which means we need to teach kids critical thinking, digital literacy.
Absolutely essential. Understanding how this works, how AI influences the information they perceive, is crucial.
And that feeling, realizing how constructed reality is, can be disorienting.
It challenges our sense of a fixed objective truth, because our truth is constantly being built by this internal process.
So after this whole deep dive, who's benefiting most right now from understanding all this, according to the sources?
The material points mainly to, well, tech companies, obviously, medical researchers for sure, security and surveillance agencies, and definitely marketing and advertising.
Makes sense. Those are the fields directly working with perception, memory, data, influence.
Applying these principles constantly.
Okay, let's bring it back home. To you, listening, this whole intricate dance of perception, memory, meaning-making.
That's your reality engine. It's how you experience everything, how you learn, connect, understand.
And now AI is entering the picture, offering amazing tools, but also raising profound questions about bias, control, what understanding even is.
Leaves you with quite a bit to think about.
It really does. Here's a final thought to chew on. If our reality is constantly being constructed by our perception and memory, what happens when AI becomes increasingly powerful in shaping the information we perceive and remember? What does that future look like?
This is DigitView.